30% more UV light. You know what that means? It means dermatologists do a blooming business. We have about 15% more visible light given. We have 340 days of full sun. And since I've been in Texas, I don't think I've seen the sun for more than 5 hours in any one day. And yes, that is snow. we do get snow. We've had as much as 2 feet. This last winter, this storm, I think was about 10 inches or so. But we do get snow, and it can be quite cold. In the winter, we keep down as low. We usually every winter have temperatures that dip for at least three or 4 days during winter below zero. So it can be quite cold. I run my greenhouse so at about 64 degrees all the time, because I do have fails in there, and the minimum temperature I want is 64. And as a result of these temperatures and the large amount of light and highlight, Cattleyea do really well. And so we find though the blooming seasons shift by about 3 months in some cases. And colors, this is the fun part. This is exactly the same way. This flower was taken, this picture was taken in New Jersey, so we moved from there. Yeah, sometime in New Jersey, about that one. And this is after blooming in December. And this is not Photoshop, guys. This is the way it was. In fact, right now, this plant, what? This plant is down in bloom with about 8 or 10 flowers on it at this moment, and it looks like that. It's one of my favorite little crosses because it's a somewhat miniature. It blooms year round. It always has flowers and buds, but it's also a good-sized plant. And then this is another example where the colors are darker, more orangey yellow, than more living yellow. Okay, so that's growing the same day. We're not going to play portrait for you today. In case you wondered, the vinicolored paths like those dark purple ones were all started by Stuart Orchids. It was called Red A Stuart Orchids. That tells you how long ago I knew. They were called Red A Stuart Orchids. The old man was still alive. He died in like 97. And his kids took over from there. But I do have a question. And here's the question. Name a species in the Cattleyea lines. And it doesn't have to be Cattleyea, it could be Lepidendra, it could be Cyclea, Brassicola, Cattleyea, that is normally green with a wider green lip. Normally green, not an alpha. That's important. What do you think it is? Any idea? Okay. Well, it's not Brassicola dignium. It happens to be. It happens to be Insignia Marii. How many of you seen this flower? Oh, I'll show you a picture later. It's gorgeous, isn't it? It's absolutely gorgeous. It has a problem, though. It does not like to grow real warm. It wants to be a little, it wants to have some cool nights. And so in this climate, it would not be a particularly good plant to grow. But its hybrids are okay. And we're going to talk a little bit about growing these things too, because I think that's important for you to know about. And so, where does the green color come from? Well, it comes from the fact that there's chlorophyll in the flowers. That's where the green color comes from. It comes from chlorophyll in the flowers. And it's the absence of the red pigments, the anthocyanins, the purples, the reds. And in uniformly Cattleyea, those big flowers, purple flowers, When they don't have anthocyanin, they're white. And with the bifoliate Cattleyas that have lavender, purple, or pink flowers, they're also white when you don't have anthocyanin present. But the bifoliates with bronze colors or browns, when they are lacking the anthocyanin pigments, are green. And they're usually green with a white lip. And here are these first five are the most important species in breeding greens. They are Cattleyea alba, bicolor, granulosa, Marii, and Digbyana. Rascal, Digbyana, Arnold, or Cattleyea. By the way, I tend to use the Sanders list of generic names because they contain more information in the labeling. And we'll see examples of that. Sporting actors, Laelia, Xanthina, and Cattleyea formsia, because they've been used to a lesser extent, but Xanthina in particular has been used to make some very important green hybrids. These are typical, these are Cattleyea catatas. Cattleyea catata alpha up here is the green and white form that we talked more about.
Is that the tiny little one?
Huh?
The tiny little?
No. No. Catatas can be about this tall. Plants, flowers. Catata alba tends to stay more about like this. The flowers are about three inches across, and you can have heads as many as 15 or 20. Yeah, they're quite showy. The thing is these are bifoliate Cattleyas. And here's some things about bifoliates you need to know. Number one, you never, ever repot a bifoliate without new roots showing. If there's no new root growth showing, don't repot it. You wait. Because this is a group of orchids that bifoliates are really sensitive to repotting, and they have to have new root growth showing. And believe me, if you don't, they will pout and sit there and probably die. And that is not something I'm just threatening with, that's spoken from experience, okay? You know what they say, you're only an expert with your first 1,000. Well, I'm about 10 times over that, so I think I can speak with some expertise to these points. But it's really important when you're growing these. They also like to be grown in a way where they dry out a little faster. So you grow in a more open medium. And what they want to do is they want to be water and dry out. Water and dry out fairly quickly. Uniformly Cattleyas, you don't need to worry so much about that. But these guys, it's a little better if you let them dry a bit more between water needs. But they don't want to go long without water. And particularly in the growing season. When they're growing, you want to keep them pretty well watered. In the winter, when they slow down, you can step back from the water and wait. And by the way, if you want something that blooms in the summer, these are really typically summer bloomers. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about this plant. In the 1950s, I think it was either the 50s, it was happy around the 50s, late 50s or so, there was a guy by the name of B.O. Gracie. And B.O. Gracie was one of the premier orchid growers in California. He started in England. He was an Englishman. Came over to the U.S., worked with a company called Arnold Royce, which eventually was bought by Store Orchids and on. But B.O. Gracie broke out and made his own orchid nursery. And in the 50s or so, he imported a whole batch of Cattleyea catata from Brazil. That's where they from. And in that group was one that bloomed out, like the one in the right. It was the first time anyone had ever seen a green Cattleyea with a white lip. Okay. He immediately sells it, hides it, and cuts all the flowers off. So he doesn't want anyone to know that this plant exists. He grows up the seedlings, and when the seedlings start to flower, he starts to sell them. And he sells them for a king's ransom. They're $100, $200, $300, $400 a piece, depending on the quality of the flower or more. That was the first introduction of a green Cattleyea with a white lid. Keep that in mind because up until then it was unknown, totally unknown. An interesting story? Yeah. Briggs was an interesting guy. He later developed dementia. And when people discovered that, we would go in and they would bypass it. We wouldn't remember what he should be charging, and they did plan for him for a song. And it really took the day. But he was making a damn sure everyone else, and that didn't work that way. This is Cattleyea bicolor. Most of the green breeding in bicolors have been done with forms like this, which are green with a blue and bronze overlay, not ones like this with the deep purple. And very few crosses have been done with the album form because, frankly, they're rather uncommon, and there's only a couple crosses I know that have done them. And I will show you pictures of one later. This is Cattleyea granulosa. And by the way, all these three that I just showed you, Guttata, bicolor and granulosa are all bifoliates. So remember what I told you about growing them. And I can grow on the warm side too, by the way. They really like that temperatures more around 60 rather than 55. Whereas a lot of Cattleyas do quite well, and I can just do down to 50, not around 55. Granulosa. There is an album form, but it's not the one that we used to reading. It's more like this form. But this is just to give you an idea of the color range. And granulosa was used once, but it made it incredibly important. It's made some incredibly important bosses. We'll see those. This is Mariana. And unfortunately, it's not quite, this doesn't show this is quite as bright green. These petals can be really bright green, not this yellow green. This is an older flower. But look at that lip. It's not lip green. Look at that. Big white lip. And so, Mariani, as I mentioned earlier, likes to grow a little cooler. He's a native of Mexico. And it's now, I don't even remember what the name is now. Epiphyllus, I think, something like that. Let's post that the other and change it again. I just still refer to this as Cyclia Mariani, it's just easier. But this is, their leaves are gray green, and their bulbs are rather bulbous shaped, or bulb shaped. And it root grows well mounted and likes to kind of hang down. Beautiful plant, beautiful flower. This is Digniana. These are 5 different cultivars of Digniana. I love this plant. It's one of my very, very favorite orchids. And for a couple of reasons. One, it blooms now. And it has an incredible fragrance. And it is a pretty reliable June bloomer, and it's not a hard plant to grow. We have gotten so accustomed to seeing green ones, we've forgotten one very, very important thing. The normal color of Digniana is not green. It's maybe a greenish color overlaid with lavender at the side of the pigments. And this one up here, the reason I put it there is because it is more typical of what you actually see in the wild. I had the more or less good fortune when I first started out growing orchids to have a guy in town where I lived who had a cut flower nursery primarily. And he wanted a June cut flower that he could depend on. So he imported 600 plants of Digniana from the Honduras. This was back before sightings. It was back where you had that on paper. I got a chance to see every one of those in bloom over a period of 4 or 5 years. And out of that 600, there was not a single pure green one, not one. They all had lavender shading. And in fact, many of the so-called green ones, like this one, if you look at the back of the sepals, there's some red, there's some anthocyanic pigmentation. They are not pure greens. There's only a couple that are in their alba forms. Now this plant, by the way, likes to grow in very high light. And you can practically grow this outside in full sun. I don't do totally full sun, but you can get it pretty bright. And if it's, you get it to grow well, it's a very robust plant, and it does produce these magnificent fringed flowers with this incredible fragrance at night around 8 p.m. So if you don't stay up late, you might miss it. But I have, like I said, I have 5 different cultivars in my greenhouse. I just love the plant. Here's some sporting actors. This is Lady Zantina over on the left. And it was actually important for making one particular cross, we'll talk about in a few minutes. And then there's Forbesii, Cattleyea Forbesii. Probably the most important parent for that is Waikiki Gold, which has been used in a lot of stuff. We'll see some advantages of that. Now, again, we're still, this Forbesii, we're still dealing with the bifoliate. The Lady Zantina is more like a typical Lelea, like Purpurata or Lobiata or Lobata or Crispa or something like that. It grows well, pretty well warm to intermediate temperatures, down to 55 is okay, down to 50 won't hurt it. And however, I must tell you, it's relatively rare cultivation. I don't know, only 1 or 2 places I've seen it for sale anytime recently. But it has yellow-green flowers, and they've been useful in hybridizing. Now, here's something that is, if you take nothing else away from this talk, or this culture, take this one. There are 2 kinds of greens. There's the green-yellow and the green-white. What do we mean by that? A green-yellow means the flower opens green, and when it starts to fade, it turns yellow. And a classic example of that is this DLC Quartz of Paradise. They open green, and I'll tell you, if you grow it in bright light, it turns yellow fairly quickly, and the flowers hold for a long time, but it goes from green to yellow. The green-white is precisely what it suggests. It goes from green to white. And the reason it does that is the green-yellow plants have yellow pigment in them. The green-whites have no pigment other than the chlorophyll green. So when the green fades away, they become kind of white. And actually by that time they're drying up and they're kind of falling apart. But they go from green to white, not from green to yellow. And this one down the bottom is Cattleyea Lane Green Ice. That's my plant. Was my plant. It died. These are Cattleyea Catata lines. This is when we took Cattleyea Catata, when they saw this green away, you completely understand how incredible this was. There was nothing else. So they made a couple of crosses. This one's Epichat Piano Woods was made with Marii. And one of the things that happens with Marii is we reduce the plant size. Piano Woods only grows about 6 to 8 inches tall, maybe 10 at the very most. Catata gets up to a couple of feet. Marii is a very small plant. So it reduces the size. It also reduced the flower count down to 4 or 5 max. Crossing into Lelea Zantina made a bloom. This is Weslaco green, and this. I have this plant in my collection. Cross was done by Stuart Orchids. I have this plant in my collection. I still have the original Stuart's tag on it. It's been in my collection for 30 years or more, and so it has some interesting properties. We'll come back to that. Then Stuart's made another cross with Catata alba. They crossed it to Gigas Forma alba. And here's where we get into trouble with the naming system. The cross name is Cattleyea Atalanta. And if you look in the RHS registry, there's a Cattleyea Atalanta 1893 and another 1908, something else. This is the 1893 cross. The original cross only had to be done with purple forms because the green-white form of Catata alba wasn't discovered until like the 60s. It wasn't even released. We used it until the 60s. And so Stewart's made this cross, and it turned out that Gigas forma alba and Catana alba breed from the same albino group. And so you get these Cattleyea Hawaii, which is a very pale green Hawaii lip, but much larger petals than you see there. And the flower count is pretty good. You can get 7 flowers on a stem of one of these, or more. Really quite nice. And then there's a cross of Cattleyea Catana alba with Cattleyea bicolor maize. This is Mailer. Some of the Mrs. Mailers are very, very green with purple spots. Others are more bronze. The big problem with this cross, how tall is bicolor? Have you ever seen a fully grown bicolor? From the floor. So you cross these two, what do you get? You get about this high when they're full grown. It's not, I don't find it a particularly attractive plant because it's just so big, but the flowers can be quite nice. And of course, no one can resist trying to make EC Cray Kai. Now, Cray Kai was originally made again, it was the lavender form, or the colored form of the Catana many years ago. It was redone by Stewart's to make with Brassable Digniana Mrs. Chase. Now, here's the thing, Digniana Mrs. Chase is very important because it's, at that time, the only true alba form of Digniana. Nowhere in the plant did you find any anthocyanin pigment, not in the flower, not in the leaves, nowhere. It was a true alba. And so they made the cross, hoping they would get some nice green and white flowers. And this is about the best they did. It's not a particularly nice cross. And I show it only because I want you to understand there's the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you make hybrids. And this one's kind of somewhere in between the good and the ugly, but depending on your taste. For me, I don't like it. That's me. Now, Lagoon, the Loki Green, remember that was Cattleyea Santina by Catana alba? And then they crossed it back to Catana alba to make Fleetwood Lane. And here's the thing, I kept trying to figure out, why would they do this? Why would you make something that looks like Catana alba? Well, here's the thing. Catana alba flowers, the Catana flowers as a whole, only last about 2 weeks. Okay? When they made the lagoon, and I have that plant, as I said, in my collection, it holds its flowers for 4 weeks, maybe 5 or 6, depending on the weather. If it's really hot, it'll drop out 4. If it's really cool, it'll last about 6. The liquid lanes also last about 4 weeks. So what they were trying to get to was a Cattleyea Catana alba type flower that would last. And that's what they got. Now here's the thing that's interesting. Notice that there's some purple here, which means there's some anthocyanin. When you make this cross, like this, you get about 50% are green and white, and 50% are got some purple in them. How do I know that? Because I remade the cross, and I've bloomed out about 25, 30 of them, and it's almost exactly a 50-50 split between green and white, and those with some purple. Now, how much anthocyanin they have in them varies from just a few spots or a purple lip to things that, like this, is burnished flower. Now, when Stewart started selling liquid lanes, they picked the ones that were going to be green and white, and they put a price tag of $75 on them. Now, how did they pick them out before they bloomed? Well, it turns out it's very easy. Anybody can do it. Because here's the deal. When the new growth starts, if they're going to be green and white, the sheepy bracts, you know, around the new growth, all that stuff, it never has any anthocyanin. It's all green. It's all green. But those that have some anthocyanin pigmentation in them, there's some anthocyanin pigmentation in the sheepy bracts that starts to grow up. That's how they did it. And that's how I do it. Someone calls me up and says, I want one that's green and white. I said, okay, I'm going to the greenhouse. I look for one that's got green shoots coming up versus shoots with color, and that's what they get. So, and it's been kind of a fun thing to do, to see this. It's really kind of a fun plant. Thanks. And again, because this is so much bifoliate Cattleyea, how are you going to grow it? You're going to not repot it unless it shows new roots. You're going to keep it watered, well watered during the growing season. There's going to water, so water dries out a little bit, water dry out a little bit. You're going to, in the winter, you're not going to, you'll cut back the water when it's not growing as much. Okay? Now, when we take leafwood laying, we cross it to Atalanta, makes Atalanta laying variety to be nice. This Atalanta laying, because of the giants in here, which is a unifoliate Cattleyea, grows somewhere in between what bifoliates and unifoliates grow like. And it does, again, you don't want to repot it until it's growing roots, showing new roots, but it doesn't. It wants to be kept a little more evenly moist most of the year. We crossed it back to Cattleyea forma alba, and we made a cross called Memoria bag and couture. And why did I do this cross? Why did I try to figure it? Well, I know why. I wanted to get a plant with a little wider petal than leafwood laying has, but I wanted the higher flower count to get with leafwood laying. We have two. I've kept two cultivars. One of them has the wider petals, and it blooms about 10 flowers on the stem, and it will last in the greenhouse about 4 weeks. The other one, which is the one over here, it blooms a stem with 20 to 22 flowers on it. They only last 2.5 to 3 weeks. Very short, very short. And it's too bad, because I like to take it to judgment. It has 22 open flowers on it, but it'll never do that. The last flower, the first flower starts to drop before the last one's fully open. It needs to work in terms of their yellow cap. Anyway, they crossed it with about Alma, made this cross PLC Green Giant, received the award of quality. And the reason I put this picture up, even though it's quite old, I want you to see some. How many of those are greens? There's 12, I think 12 plants. How many of them are really green? 1. Maybe that's a different plant. 2, 3, and 4. Well, 4 really green flowers. The rest of them are shades of bronze and overlays of various colors. And this is one of the things that's important to remember. When we make a green cross, not everything that comes out of it's going to be green. And this cross only produced a few green ones. One of them was Green Giant and Mist, which I happened to have got a piece of from a friend some years ago. And I crossed it to Atalanta Lane, and I made this cross, which is called PLC Memoria Carl Stam. And what I was doing was, I knew that Green Giant, is the name it implies, is a big plant. Green Giants can grow up about like this from the form, about 2.5, 3 feet high. They're not small plants. Atalanta Lane only grew, before I killed it, only grew about so tall, about a foot and a half, maybe. And so I was looking to reduce the size, but I was also looking to get better petals. And we kind of got there with this cross. And I'm not unhappy with this. This is good. It's named for my uncle, Memorial Carl Stam. Unfortunately, we only got 2 plants out of the cross, and that's it. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And neither one of these are both about almost 5-inch flowers, by the way. They're big flowers. Plants grow about 2.5 feet tall right now. I think they'll eventually get up to about 2 feet because they're still young. Atalanta Lane by itself, I crossed it by itself because I wanted to get more of this cross. We didn't have the parents anymore for it, really. And got couple. This one up here is better than the parent. That one's not too bad. But look at this. We got a pink one out of there. And I looked at that and I said, where did that come from? Because none of the parents, except for the Cattleyea andina, which is buried 3-4 generations back, had any anthocyanin, but we wind up with some anthocyanin. Oh, I'm sorry, this is that one I'm sorry, these came out of either one. They all did. This one, with Dickeana, we used Dickeana, this is changed, which is now the form, and we wound up with this beautiful pink color, and this one, which has anthocyanin, and then this one is more typical of what we get. Now, one of the things about this, because of the Dickeana in it, it grows much more like a unifolia Cattleyea, which likes to be between about night temperatures down between 50 around 55. They can go lower. Watering is a little more constant, and this one blooms. We've had these bloom almost any time of the year. Not the same plant, but different plants tend to have different blooming seasons, which is kind of cool. It's nice to be able to get something like that. Made this cross also. I don't have a picture of Verdant Venture Jack's tube, but just imagine a flower about 7 inches across, 6 to 7 inches across. That's bright green with a frilly lip. And that's what Jack's, that's what Verdant Venture is. And again, we get this range of colors. And again, we get purple coming out, we get the pink coming out, and it's obviously buried somewhere in the background of these plants that this color can happen. Most of them have been in these green and white shades. And I show you a range of pictures, but I don't. When you see a picture in a catalog or a picture on the web, they say, oh, this is this cross, such and such. They only show you one flower on the cross. You've got to realize that when you buy a cross like that, you don't necessarily get one that looks just like that. And so what I try to do is picture as many different ones that I've bloomed out as I can. And by the way, if you want to see more of what we do, please like our Facebook page. And if you start digging through it, you'll find there's about 2,000 pictures to look at. We've got a lot of pictures of it. And there are some crosses where we have 20 plants pictured. So you get an idea of what the cross was really like. And here's something else. When you buy a seedling and you bloom it out, here's something to remember. It's unique and you own it. There are no copies. There are no clones. There are no divisions. It's all yours. That's different than when you buy a clone, you really don't buy a clone. When you buy a seedling, you put it out. It's all yours. And going a little bit further, Stuart's made another cross with Leaflet Lane with bicolor alba to make finewood, and this is called Green Treasure. And I love this because I have the original Stuart's tag still on it with Ernest Hetherington, who was the president of Stuart's, who was a friend of mine, still with his handwriting on it saying best green with rose lip out of this cross. Kind of cool. We self it because again, the one we had is the only plant in existence, so I self it. And I've been really struck by how good, this is the first one that bloomed, and it's much better than the parent. This one is not too bad, except it's kind of curly, but it shows the green and white instead of the picture. And then it bloomed out a couple that were this kind of bronzy color, which is not too much of a surprise, since Cattleyea bicolor was involved in the cross. And again, these are bifoliates again, and they really need to be treated as such. Cattleyea granulosa. Granulosa is probably the most unheralded green parent there is because a lot of people don't recognize what its influence was. It was crossed with Ethel Merman, and I don't have a picture, but Ethel Merman's an old white with a colored lip. You know those guys, the white with the city albas? That's what it was. And they crossed it with granulosa to make amphalis. And amphalis produced a range of colors from green to yellow to peach color. And the green ones, Galaxy being one of them, have been used to make other crosses. And let's look at a couple of those crosses. Some of them you will recognize. One of the first ones that came along was amphalis by Zandet to make PLC Memoria Helen Brown. And Memoria Helen Brown has been tissue culture, has been spread all over the country, and it can be quite a good sized plant. It can produce growths up to about 2 feet tall, and it can produce a flower stem with as many as 12 5-inch flowers. It's been known to do that. I've never seen it. Stuart's told me. Ernst hasn't told me that it would, so I believe it. But I've certainly seen it 4, 5, 6 flowers on a stem, no problem. And this has become a premier breeder of greens in itself. Now, this plant, Memoria Helen Brown, really grows like a unifolia Cattleyea. It's not, even though it sometimes has 2 leaves on the stem, it really doesn't grow like a bifolia. It's much less sensitive to being repotted and tends to be a real coarse of a grower, tends to grow lots and lots of good roots. One of the things I hate is people who don't pay attention to the vigor of their plants when they breed. And we had that going on in the 60s and 70s when people bred for the flower, didn't pay much attention to the vigor of the plant. And we turned out some crosses like Hazel Boyd, which has beautiful flowers, hardly anything better than yellows and oranges, practically. But the plants are terrible growers. They're awful growers. They twist, the leaves twist, the plants get very rough. They do grow reasonable roots though. But this plant, maybe the reason that it tends to grow really well. Amphalis is crossed with Braswell Digbiana to make Lester McDonald. And Lester McDonald was just recently remade by Carter and Holmes. And they can bloom out either green like this or green with a purple lip. There's some really nice cultivars of this that have come out. And there's been some recent awards to them because of Carter and Holmes remaking the cross. But when Green's Fantasy, Lester McDonald, was crossed back to Amphalis, we made BLC Greenwich. And Greenwich, and unfortunately, it doesn't show up here too well. Greenwich has really bright green petals and a purple lip. And there are 3 or 4 cultivars of this that have been cloned, one of them being Elmhurst, which is probably the best known. And if you want a green that can grow well just about anywhere, this one is hard to beat. And you can still find it available from time to time. But it is very, very good grower and very strong. Amphalis was crossed to DLC Greenheart with a Rubens Verde Lime Shirt. I have this plant in my collection, Rubens Verde. The flowers are about 6.5, 7 inches. They're huge flowers, okay? There's another problem. It's a huge plant. This grows unifoliate, and the leaf and bulb is easily 18 inches long. It can be a real force of a grower. And if you have room for it, it's certainly worth your effort to grow it, because it is a really nice flower. And it smells, one of the things about Digbiana that I like so much is fragrance. Well, any of these hybrids like this, like Lester McDonald, Greenwich, or Rubens Verde, carry that fragrance. But instead of being only at night, you can smell it during the day, which is kind of nice, since I'm never in the greenhouse at 8 o'clock. Mary Eye has been the small plant with a big surprise. It will be made Epitaph Vienna Woods. It was crossed to Amphalis to make Epitaph Mary Green. And is not a big flower. It's only about, across the petals, it's only about 3 inches, but this Mary Green, they're about 5.5 inches across. The size comes from the anaphyllus side, comes from granulosa. Granulosa is not a small, whereas Cattleyea is only about a 3-inch flower, granulosa is about a 5-inch flower. And so you get that coming through in this cross. And there's another cross out there which is even more well known as Epilendid Cattleyea May-Fly, which was married by anaphyllus. I remember way back in the old days, 1980, I showed one of these at an orchid show. And the May-Flies had just been released onto the market as seedlings, so I showed one. And it was passed over for judging. So I asked one of the senior judges there, I said, why was this passed over? Why wasn't this pulled? And he said, well, we looked at it, that parentage can't be right. Well, they had an egg on their face because it turned out the parentage was right, and there were several others that were eventually shown and awarded, and it became very clear that, yes, you can get a flower that big. And it was like 4.5, 5 inches across. So much bigger than what they could expect. There's another cross which I have liked, and it took me a long time to find it. It's this cross with Maryi. Maryi by Cattleyea makes grassland in Jim Wallace. Now, I don't know why this plant is difficult to grow, but it is. And I wouldn't have expected it to be. Now, I know that the Maryi are not easy plants for most people to grow. I can't grow them. But I didn't expect crossing that Cattleyea that it would be difficult, but it is. But it's such a useful parent that after looking around for the last 10 years, I finally found some. And so I bought one. I have this Jim Wallace deal. It's been cloned. And so it is available occasionally, and I have to find something to have. Now, when we take Maryi, take the Epilendid Cattleyea Woods across the pink rhoda spots. Now, pink rhoda has been one of the really interesting parents for the last 20 years, 30 years. And if you look in the Sanders list of Orchid, the Sanders list, you'll find it listed as Cattleyea, pink rhoda, parentheses, root. There's a whole cast of these pink rhodas that have come out from sowing or whatever. And not all of them are purple splash with pink sepals and spots. Some of them are almost white. You cross with the Vienna woods, and some of the cross came out like this. This is Cyan J. Not all of them did. I've seen pictures of some of the others, and they're purples. But some came out green and white. Another cross done very similar to that is Feldspar spot crossed with Epilendid Cattleyea Woods. And you make same tree fantasy. And in here we see some that are green and white, we see some that green with some of the purple stuff. Now, the Epilendid Woods, I've grown this in the past, and it's not too hard. It does like to be on the warm side. It does like to be a little damper than the Cattleyea alba, but it also likes to be a little cooler and drier in the winter. The Cyan J is pretty easy to grow if you let it dry a little bit between water gets by the way. It likes to take temperatures over a wide range. Memorial Hall Browse cross Waikiki Gold. Waikiki Gold is a Cattleyea Forbesii. I remember I mentioned that there was Forbesii someplace going on here. And it makes a cross called Victor Louis Cattleyea. This is Carlos Green. And I bring this up because, when you take Victor Louis Cattleyea, you cross it to brass and driven two walls, you make Yamada Ara Orchid with green blade. Now, you may see some Orchid and green blade variety Shingetsu, which is this one, for sale in the future, out of Walmart Orchids. If you see it, buy it. Number one, that's my plant. And I had a clone and I sold it to the Walmart Orchids. Number two, this is one of the most vigorous growing green Cattleyas I've ever seen. The plants only get up to about maybe this tall. They can throw stems of 3 to 5 flowers, and they're not small. They're upwards of this. When that was awarded its AM, it was 14.5 centimeters, just short of 5 inches. And they grow roots like crazy. It's an easy plant to grow, and it blooms more than once a year. They'll bloom 2 or 3 times a year. So if you see, when you see these for sale, grab them. They're well worth it. They want a green flower. This is a good cross.
What's the name of it again? Is that one on the bottom?
It's Yamada Ara Orchid of the Green Blade. And the cultivar name is Shingetsu, S-H-U-N-G-E-T-S-U. If you're wondering what that is, that's Japanese for spring moon. Long story about the name.
Spell it again.
S-H-U-N-G-E-T-S-U. Shingetsu. Anyway, this cross was done by a friend of mine by the name of Roger Cole, and it's probably one of the best crosses I think he's ever done. He's made a lot of good crosses, but this one, I think is one of the best. For 2 reasons. One, it has good colors, and 2, it grows well. It's a good grower. And that's something I think is very important. Large green flower spread, particularly one of them is PLC Ports of Paradise. You've seen these for sale. This one is Emerald Isle, this is green, and this is Linares Green Giant. Now, Linares Green Giant was owned by 4 Carolina Orchids. They got the FCC on it back in the 70s, late 70s. And they had a clone. And they sold the clones in 4-inch pots, not moving size, for $400 a piece. And if you wanted to buy a piece of this plant, it was a mere $100,000 what they were asking for. So, you know, some orchids can be expensive. But here's the fun part. When it was cloned and they released it, the Hawaiians bought up these plants and they recloned it, okay? And they got ready to release them onto the market, only to find out that Fort Caroline had patented the plant. So they were stuck with hundreds of these mares, thousands of them actually, of maritimes they couldn't sell. Well, Fort Caroline went out of business and they pulled it up, and guess what? They started to sell it. And you can find it now available. And it was the best of the green giant, Ports of Paradise. Here's the thing. This is a green yellow. Most of the things we've seen previously have been green whites. When this fades from green, it goes to yellow. And if you grow it in bright light, they are much more yellow, like this one. I grew this at the top of the greenhouse, and it's much more yellow than it is if you grow it shaded. You want it to be green, grow it shaded. When it starts, when you see the buds start up in the sheet, put it in a shaded place. And these flowers all tend to be quite large. And some recent ones, product green deluxe, you'll see this available. And this one is Dajo, has an AOS, and it's a really bright green. This slide doesn't show it, but But here's some, I found this little picture. Again, not everything came out of this cross was green. Only some of them were. And one of my favorites is this one. It's Cat Green Power, which is Quartz of Paradise cross with PLC Golden Square, which is a plant that comes out of Taiwanese breed. And Cat Green Power is also out of that breed. And Cat Green Power, big flower, bright green, does go to yellow eventually, but it stays green longer than Quartz of Paradise does. And then finally there was Quartz of Orchid, which was Quartz of Paradise cross back and forth, big flower, but it's not as green, and frankly, out of the cross, there's only been one that I know of that's been around, and it's the award one. Cat Green Power, Triple G is one of the cultivars. There are others, and they're all good breeds. But this cross, Orchid, here's the only one that's big. Helen Brown was crossed with something called BLC Green Fantasy to make BLC 3 Suns. This is a good green, and it's, again, not a plant for the faint of heart because it's big. These could be 2 feet tall, but the flowers could be 5, 6 inches across. They're nice flowers, they are true green, and this grows more like a unifoliated Cattleyea, is much more tolerant of this treatment than a bifoliated. So if you want a good green, you do see these around occasionally. They're well worth giving. And DLC Magic Meadow was leaking out across into Victoria Helen Brown. Irish Mist is one of the ones out of the original cross. There's one running around now called Napoleon, which is quite nice. And it's also an easy grower. I remade the cross. This is the first one blew out of I remade. And it's one of the few I've seen that is pure green. Most of them have some red in the throat. Anthocyane marking in the throat. But Magic Meadow, so far, we've maybe 8 or 10 of these, and they have varied from this pure green to ones with a fair amount of red treatment. Finally, we're going to close with this. Here's an oddball cross. Take Lagoon, cross it to Big Piana, you make BLC Trio, and don't believe the blue. That is a problem. The slide I had to copy was very old. It makes BLC Trio. It's called Trio because there are 3 species in it. The good, Leyland Xanthina, Cattleyea, and Rascal Big Piana. And it's kind of an odd looking flower. And Stewart's crossed into Memorial on Brown to make a cross which has never been named. I'm going to have to name it because I kind of like it. But this one's called Lori McGoo, that's the cultivar, and the other one is Diane. And they are extremely sturdy growers. I have divisions of these sitting around the greenhouse right now, and they bloom more than once a year, which I've been very happy about. But they grow fast. They make local leaves grow fast. Anyway, it's kind of a strange cross, and I want to end with that. And we'll conclude with chlorophyll of the flowers is the source of the green. That's where the green comes. That's the first thing. Insignia Marii is the only normal green with a white lip. Remember the Cattleyea group used in green breeding. Alpha forms and mostly green forms that made up the basis of the rest of the species that have been used. And again, there are 2 types of yellow, the green yellow and the green white. The green white give you flowers that stay green longer because they don't have the yellow picture behind them. And the green yellow will eventually fade to yellow, sometimes it's fairly quick. Anyway, that's the call. If you have any questions about cultivation or anything, please ask. The Cattleyas in general. Yes. Marii, northern part of the tropical zone. It's found fairly far north. There's another plant that's also found in that same relative area much colder, much more difficult time to grow. Maryi is a little work in the little pool plant. Most people can grow Maryi. Down here I wouldn't try, but insignia citrina, I've tried growing in two places where we went to, I couldn't get even those summers, and it really did not thrive. But citrina has these bright yellow flowers. So
How cool is it for summer? How cool is that summer?
what?
How cool should the summer be?
I'm sorry?
Citrina, how cool is it?
Oh, you gotta get it down into the 50s, high 40s, or low 40s. Yeah, yeah. It likes to be really cool. Encyclia vitellina, whatever it's called now, is also protected by the vitellina. This is a red orange one now, almost the same area. Again, you can't get it down into the 50s at night, or even the 40s. It's not going to do well. Yeah, you have to try to grow it at 60 at night, you're really bad for the maker. Yeah, believe me, try it. And the people I know who grow up fast are usually people who grow fast in houses and curtain houses. But there are some. Any other questions? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.